Welcome, my friends, and in today's video, especially friends of contemporary artists. But let me introduce first a little bit. I'm Dieter, your host for this video today. Dieter Manschura, my family name, and I'm the owner of a little family company, and we've sold art prints, especially with a focus on Japanese prints, in weekly online auctions since 2001. And if you follow our weekly auctions, let's say kind of regular basis, you may have noticed that since roughly the middle of 2021, we've begun to present you more and more new contemporary artists. And these artists, it's not easy to get them, to convince them to consign to our auctions. Their prints are not consigned by collectors or dealers to our auctions, but they consign directly. They cooperate directly with these artists, and this is a wonderful thing. Yeah. And in the current auction, we have many new artists, also oldies and goodies. And in this video, I want to present them all with the prints that are in the current auction, 1,713. Yeah. But before I start with a quick walkthrough, I first want to discuss an issue that I had after the end of a previous auction. It was a kind of a complaint by a German bidder, and he was a successful winner on one of these prints. And a few days after auction end, he sent an email and said, I found the website of this artist, and there I could have bought this print for a lower price than in your auction. It turned out he was wrong, because first of all, he confused dollars and euro, and secondly, he did not consider that as a bidder from Germany, he has to pay VAT, no matter whether he buys from the Artelino website or from the website. This was a European printmaker, directly from the European printmaker. Yet actually, he could get the print for the reserve, and it was actually slightly cheaper than the price on the website of the artist. But nevertheless, I want to take this occasion to explain how we fix the reserve of those artists who cooperate directly with us. We've never made a secret out of it, and here in the background you see our page. It's here in the cell area, and we call it Call for Printmakers. This is, by the way, Osamu Sugiyama, an oldie but goodie who works with us for nearly 20 years. And here we describe in the section here, fixing prices, fixing prices, how we fix in cooperation with the artist this reserve. And the reserve is the minimum bid. And we fix it basically on retail price. That means that the same price that that you pay for these artists in a plush gallery or when you buy directly from the artist, in case they have a website. You must imagine the artists that we present, they are no unknown amateur printmakers. They are well-established, recognized, often world-famous printmakers, and they are represented by such plush galleries like Scholten in New York, or Warnock galleries, or Davidson galleries in the US, or the plushest galleries in Tokyo. And if we offered them for a fraction of this print that is asked by these galleries, it couldn't work, my friends, couldn't work. I mean, the artist would ruin his cooperation with the galleries and would ruin his own price. So we fix it on the level of what is called retail price. If you use our early bird bonus, the retail price is even slightly lower, And because we use increments, yeah, if the increment doesn't match precisely the retail price of the artist, we take the next lower echelon. So the retail price is usually slightly below the minimum bid, that means the so-called reserve, is usually slightly lower or on the same level, and if you use the early bird bonus, slightly lower than comparable gallery price or the official price on the website of the artist. Yeah, this is something I wanted to explain to avoid misunderstandings. And now, my friends, quick walkthrough through these wonderful prints by our contemporary artists who work directly with art. I have to explain them very fast, otherwise this video will never end. Well, this is the first one. This is, okay, here we see it a little bit better. This is by Tim Southall, UK printmaker who lives in Spain. And this is a beautiful one. It's called Bear Hugs, and it shows Mama Bear with her cub. And a slightly different design by the same artist, Tim Southall. It's called Winter Queen. Please read the description. We often have wonderful comments directly by the artist in these descriptions. Next one, kind of fantasy category now, Mia Asahi. Also, Mia Asahi is represented now by at least 5 different plush galleries in the USA alone, yeah. I'm not going to explain that now, otherwise, yeah, I cannot show you all the prints, and I cannot leave out one of these artists, yeah. Imagine I show just 10 artists and the other one I don't show them, and they are in the current auction. Not possible. This one, Ikumi Okada, woodblock prints. I mean, awesome. Take a look how she integrates the grain of the wooden block into this design, yeah. Night on the opposite shore. And this by Masahiko Honjo, one of the most renowned printmakers in Japan. A second design, he's rather specialized in kacho-e, birds and flowers. And sometimes he shows women integrated into flowers. And they nearly look like they are part of the flowers. And this Emi Coita, also Japanese, but she lives in Tokyo for many, many years. And also very established printmaker, also by Emi Coita. This is an early design by her. Red Umbrella. Next one, from New Zealand, Nick Tucker, a New Zealand printmaker. Well, the first artist from New Zealand who works with us directly. And this is, by the way, this is a view from the Antarctica. We are not too far away from New Zealand. Oh, I've never been there. And this now finally by Eric van Ommen, printmaker from the Netherlands. And he works in woodblock technique. And also he was trained in Japan, by the way. Next one, Jane Daniel. Jane Daniel, kind of fantasy prints. This is a rather real design from London Canary Wharfs, but a little bit of fantasy. Here you see a zebra and a rhino. So there's a second one. Oh, I love this one. Look at that tiger with this Indian head decoration. And yeah, the title is so beautiful. His beautiful assistant. So he's the boss and she's just his assistant. Jane Daniel works in aquatint, etching, by the way, also a UK printmaker, and her prints are still rather cheap, but I don't think for long. They're completely undervalued in my view. So have a look at her prints. It's a good buy. Alexandra Buckle, she makes wonderful lino cuts, and she underwent a training in Japan, and she likes Japanese subjects. Well, the next one, this is from the Silver Pavilion in Kyoto. Then here, Lenita Shimizu. Lenita Shimizu, she was several years in Japan and learned woodblock printmaking, and that's her preferred technique until today. And she makes kind of half abstract prints. I love her combination of colors and shapes and designs and texture. And one of her teachers was Yoshisuke Funasaka, and the other Tokoriki Tomikichiro. Laura Boswell, one of the leading UK printmakers, and she works either in lino cut, in a very refined lino cut technique, where she uses techniques that she learned from Japanese printmakers in Japan directly, and this is a Japanese woodblock. This is a print showing a rain subjects from the UK made in Japanese woodblock printmaking technique. Well, this is what I wanted to say, woodblock print. And here finally the star among the artists who consign directly to us, Paul Binney. Paul Binney is represented in the British Museum. He's represented now in the Metropolitan Met. Recently there was an exhibition of Japanese prints, and I think 24 of his prints were included as an example of contemporary Japanese printmaking. Paul Binney learned printmaking in, I think, nearly 6 years in Japan, and his technique is unmatched by any of today's contemporary mokuhanga artists, in my view. And we have in the current auction, well, this design from Lugano. He made it in honor, you can say, for Hiroshi Yoshida. Paul Binney admires Hiroshi Yoshida very much. And the second design is a tattoo design. This is one of the early prints by Paul Binney, and I think he made it when he was still in Japan. This is by Ryuza Okamoto, a Japanese printmaker. Ryuza Okamoto was one of the best pupils of Toshi Yoshida. Toshi Yoshida, if you are a collector of Japanese prints, you know this name. Famous printmaker. This is called From My Mother's Album. It's a series, and this shows, it's also an old design, shows Ryuza Okamoto's wife, Sumi, and her 4 kittens. It's beautiful. Ryuza Okamoto exclusively woodblock print. And the next 3, let's make a quick walk through. They are silk screens by Hideyaki Carto. And this silk screen, this is a technique, a mixture of photography and handmade printmaking. Also, Hideyaki Carto, he cooperates with us, I think now for 15 years. Stephen McMillan, one of our best sellers currently, lives and works in the state of Washington, and he works in aquatint. We have 2 of his prints in the current auction, and you won't believe it, this is all handmade. The basis is a photography, but then Steve works on this for roughly 1 month to create these prints. And in an article on our website or on Steve's website, he has his own website, you can read how this technical process works. Cameron Bailey, a very young guy, an emerging artist, I would call him. He makes very small editions, and these editions are immediately sold out. And so far, he still has a very small portfolio. So there are not many left. My advice, take a close look at Cameron Bailey. Well, if you regard these art prints also as a kind of investment, or you want to preserve the value of what you spend for these art prints, still very cheap, but that won't remain for long in my view. You can go currently to social media, Facebook and Instagram, and Cameron Bailey is active there. And recently, today I saw he published a new design. It's fantastic, and I hope that we can soon show it to you. By the way, if you want to buy directly from an artist or from a gallery, I'm not insulted in any way. No way. As long as somebody bids on these artists in our auctions, it's fine. If nobody bids on these artists for several consecutive auctions, of course, then it cannot work. Then we have to take that artist out because it's not good for the reputation of the artist. So I would be pleased if we have both. Yeah, if you buy from galleries, if you buy from the artist directly, and if you buy in our auctions, we have a lot. When an artist is presented in an artelino auction, he has a lot of exposure. We make these articles and we produce these videos, and these auction catalogs, they are viewed by thousands. So this is a good reputation for the artist, but only if they get bids. It's clear. Got the message? Wonderful. Okay, last one, Newjiharatsuka, an oldie but goodie. Well, this is one of his smaller prints, and Yuji is very renowned artist. Also, he is represented in the British Museum and also in the Met, as far as I know, and the Museum of Modern Art in New York, and a bunch of plush galleries. Nevertheless, his prices are very modest. He has a fixed employment as a professor at Portland University in Oregon. Well, these are the artists that you can buy in the current auction. The current auction, my friends, 1,713. It started in the old year, December 26, and it will end in 2021 on January 2. Our auctions always end on a Sunday, 8 p.m., local European time, and we are 6 hours ahead of US East Coast. Well, enough for today now. And of course, I hope to see you in this auction and see you as bidders. And I hope to see you for our next video or videos. For now, thanks for your patience. Thanks for watching. Goodbye and take care of yourself.